Alright guys, welcome back. Official Wavecast. I'm with my original co-host. We have everybody. We have Yug this time. Yug is back. Finally. And we have some new guests. Some that were wanted, some that were unwanted, but they're all back. We have Prashil over here in this corner.
Feature boy.
We have Dervish in that corner. And we have my blood brother, Jay, in this corner. Welcome to Wavecast, guys.
Thank you for having me.
We have a good segment going on today. Let's just say story time.
Story time?
Yes, we're going to dabble into a little, not really horror, but it's a little bit of spooky, like a spooky, suspenseful story.
An interesting story.
Yeah. So I found this story out. It's one that takes place in New Jersey. I thought that was fitting.
Ooh, local.
Since we're all local. And this is a very recent one in comparison to all the other ones I found. So we might get a little spooked out here. You might see our new setting too. We're not in the regular studio. We're outdoors. We're gonna bring a couple more outdoor videos, try to play those into what we post. But yeah, let me get into this. So this story is about the Westfield Watcher. So it takes place in Westfield, New Jersey, which is like 20 minutes away from here. The family that this happened to is the Broadus family, which was a group of 5 people. It was a mom and dad, so Derek, Maria, and their 3 kids. The kids remain nameless throughout the whole story. There's two girls and 1 boy. And so like the essence of the story is they buy a new house in 2014 in Westfield. The address is like very like known now. It's called 657 Boulevard, Westfield, New Jersey. It has 6 beds and 4 baths, and they bought that house for $1.3 million. So it's a very like nice house. It's in a good area.
Get rich.
Yeah, they got big money.
Yeah, so the family's definitely got an influence.
They got money. Yeah. And so after they closed the deal on getting the house, it was 3 days after they closed the deal. This is when like everything just started happening. So it happened right after they bought the house. They hadn't even moved in yet. They went periodically to check out the house, see like how they were gonna go about setting it up. They received a letter in the mail. It was like 2 or 3 days after the signing, and on the letter it said so it greeted them knowing their name prior. So it was a very like sus letter coming out the gate, and it said, "How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its forts within?" And then like the note on the letter had the name, the Watcher. Like it was just like marked. It was signed the Watcher. And so he said, he went on to say, "I am now the Watcher of 657 Boulevard," without addressing his name, without even saying hi or welcome. Like it was literally just a sus letter. And in the letter, he talks about how he could be in one of the cars that passes by the neighborhood. He could be in a house that's in the neighborhood. He could be one person that walks around the neighborhood because they have like 1 million people that come around like a day. And so like he was basically like trying to scare them, saying that, hey, like I'm gonna be somewhere.
Like a stalker kind
basically,
of.
yeah.
Like Riverdale.
So that's why he refers to himself as the Watcher.
So you're pretty much trying to say he'll be watching 24/7.
Exactly.
Basically.
And no, so in this letter, he also said that he's been, his father and his grandfather have been doing this for the past couple of decades, and now it's his turn to start watching 657 Boulevard. Just this one house in this whole neighborhood, just that one house that they just moved into. And so they got it like periodically. They would get letters like every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, and each letter would be like worse and worse. They got another letter like 2 or 3 weeks following, like the first one, and it said, "Oh, I see your daughter in the back porch painting." She was like, "Oh," and he wrote, "Is she the artist of the family?" Like that's mad sus. Like the porch is in the back. So
Yeah,
how
did
you
he
seeing into somebody's backyard?
Yeah.
And
Sketchy.
and he refers to all the kids. Like, he says, "I've seen all of them. I count. If I remember, I can count up to three that I've seen." So he like basically like knows that they're all there. He like refers to all of them as young blood, not like Kyrie says young blood, but it's like young blood. That's like a demonic thing to say. Like, oh, there's young blood in like a house. And so basically when they got the first letter, they reached out to the old owners, which were John and Andrea Woods, and they've been living there for 2 decades. So prior to that, and they tried to reach out to them, see if they ever got letters like this. And they said that they got one letter 2 weeks before they were like the official like selling of the
Before
house.
they sold the house.
Yeah, like 2 weeks prior to that, like the signing date. But they disregarded it. They just thought it was like a prank or something, and they threw it away. And so after that incident, they like the family that bought the house, they didn't know what to do. So they went to the cops, and the cops told them not to tell anybody about the letter. Let them handle it. And so the cops would patrol like outside their house, and they would like stay watch. They didn't find anybody like really suspect as like a true trust the suspect. They did find one person. There was a car. It was like 11 p.m. There was a car that pulled up late at night to the house, and it was just standing there very like sus. And like the cops were outside patrolling that day, and so they ran the plate, and it ran back to a woman, and her boyfriend lived on that street, and like this boyfriend is addicted to like very like aggressive, very like weird like video games, and he plays this one video game where his character's name is the Watcher, and so
What the hell?
so the police sussed him, but so the boyfriend agreed to be interviewed, like answer some questions. He never showed up to the to answer the questions, and they didn't have enough evidence to to bring him back in, so they just lost him after that. Like they weren't allowed to go like back to him. And so like nothing was happening in their favor. The letters kept coming, a lot more sus shit kept happening. And so they hired a former FBI agent. They ordered a forensic linguist to like figure out like the wording, maybe like they can do something, and they ordered a private investigator to search the area, search the neighborhood, see if anything had happened. Nothing was working in their favor. They tried to have not a demolisher, but they tried to hire a contractor because no one would buy the house. They tried to put it back on the market. No one would buy the house. But they tried to hire.
Why would nobody buy the house? Is it because like everybody knew about the letters,
so
or
no one knew about it until they brought it to their attention, and so they sued the family for not telling them that this happened because they got one letter prior. So they sued the original family for not letting them know that the suspect was happening.
So I guess if you're selling the house, they probably searched the address.
Yeah.
And the case probably.
It's kind of like one of those things like where you buy a house and no one tells you that someone died inside or something like that.
But also,
Yeah, it's like they didn't disclose it prior.
I don't blame them because there was one letter at the end, and then they're like, "We're trying to sell the house. If we tell them now, they're probably gonna lose the deal." So they're like,
Yeah, that too.
maybe it's a joke. We'll just let it go. Whatever. They'll figure it out.
So basically, they tried to hire a contractor to tear the house down and build two houses in that property because it was a huge estate. And so that got denied because the plotting of it was 3 inches, less than 3 inches too short for it to fit in like the minimum like mandated size for that house in that neighborhood. And so what they did was it was 3 inches literally. You can it's not even that necessary.
Yeah.
And so they went to court to fight it. They went to go appeal, whatever the court itself, they denied the appeal. They wouldn't let them demolish the house. Which kind of brings up the idea like, oh, maybe the neighborhood is playing into them leaving, like they want them to leave or something. And so Maria, she grew up in Westfield. She grew up there like her whole life, and she was visibly and verbally upset. She went on to say that she's been in this neighborhood her whole life, and she chose to raise her kids in this neighborhood, and they aren't even helping her out at all. And so, the thing with that is, so after the case got dismissed, like they weren't able to tear down the house. 3 years later, or 4 years later, in 2018, the same court, the same neighborhood, whatever, the planning board, they split up another house within that same neighborhood, which had a bigger that had a larger expectation or a larger
Difference?
need, a larger difference than what the Brodus family needed, and so they went ahead and did that, which is really sus as to why you wouldn't do it for them when they had a lower requirement.
Yeah.
And so eventually the letters kept coming, but luckily within the last couple of years they were able to sell the house. The new owner hasn't been disclosed, he's not in the news at all, but they were able to sell the house. And given the lack of evidence and the lack of suspects, the case just went away.
So it's a cold case basically.
Yeah, but there was one big suspect in it all, and it was the Brodus family. That was the biggest suspect in the entire thing. So they said that.
So they caused it on themselves for
that's
attention, I guess.
That's what the court is saying. Attention. So they had the court came up. Well, not the court. Well, the PIs and whoever, they came up with the idea. So prior to them living in the $1.3 billion house, they lived in a 315K house. Then they lived in a 770K house. They're living in these going from 300.
They're upgrading.
Yeah, exactly. And being able to do that in such a short amount of time was really sus. Maybe they went in over their heads with paying $1.3 million for this house, and they couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
And that was one instance. Another instance was they thought that they were trying to profit and make a movie out of this whole thing, movie out of their all their trauma. and then they make a profit
Or
off
like
of
land
That's
like
a
some
very
TV
strong
special or
claim.
something.
that. Yeah.
Where did they even like make those claims at? The
Exactly.
government
So
said that?
no, not the government, but like the court and like people that like it actually went
Like
to
people
court
who
to
are
figure it out.
affiliated with the case,
And like
so
the,
like
the PIs and
the
stuff.
police officers, like the investigators they hired, the FBI agent, people like
But
that.
there was a lot of sus stuff. So, in the midst of when all these letters were coming in, like threatening their family and stuff, like no one being able to find out who it is, and like they were spooked from the get-go. They still, well, first of all, they bought the house on a refinance mortgage, and then they planning like they didn't want to stay there. Obviously, they didn't live there. They lived with their with Maria's parents in Westfield. So instead of like omitting the house entirely, they still went ahead and did renovations to the house, like still upgrading it to their own desire. Why do that in a house that you don't plan on living in? Like why spend all this money when you don't plan to live there? That was another reason why they were like a hard suspect. Why?
But I mean, maybe
people
they,
didn't believe them.
maybe they did plan on living there at the beginning, but then after like the letters and stuff came, then they changed their mind. But they already had the contracts and stuff with
I
the
believe
contractor.
after the first letter, they started renovating.
Okay.
Wait,
also,
because they probably thought the first letter was like a joke. Like, why would a letter stop
Yeah.
you from like renovating your house? You know?
but I also want to say that the new guy that got the house, there's no news about him, right? Getting the letters or anything.
No.
So that could also.
Well,
be sus
we don't know
about-
yet because he bought it in 2018. This happened in 2014, but like the finalization of this case ended in 2017.
But I think if
So
it
it's
was
it's 2020. So I think if the guy, does that guy still own the house? The new guy?
The new guy just bought the house in 2018.
So
Not
he
not
lives
the
there?
family. The family doesn't live there anymore. They sold that house for $400,000 less than what they paid for it. So they sold it for $900,000.
Okay.
I mean, it did make sense considering the fact that the cases popped up when they tried to look up any history regarding the house. So I guess it does make sense that they lost money.
Yeah,
when
true.
they
Yeah,
tried
and
to sell the
so
house.
But I mean,
Wait,
even in the loss of money, they did. It's not technically a full loss because they definitely claim that on their taxes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
is true.
Definitely
Wait,
some
another
money.
thing. You said who was the first owner of the house?
it was two people. It was
Yeah, it was a couple who lived there
Yeah,
for 20 years.
So
Yeah.
didn't his father, the watcher guy, didn't his
Yeah.
grandfather
He
said
said
like-
his father
Yeah,
and his
exactly.
grandfather
So
both
how did they
watched
not
over the
get any
house.
letters?
So their
When the first owner
the
was there.
Woods family, the people that lived there prior to this family, said that their claim was they got a letter 2 weeks before they sold the house,
Yeah, but
and they disregarded it.
But-
But yeah,
didn't you say that his father
yeah,
was
no,
the
so
watcher for
so
10 decades?
so he was
So
the
how does that
watcher.
make
I
sense?
don't know if he sent like letters the way they did because it's a new family moving in. That's why he might have sent a letter
Yeah.
because they were there for a while. The Woods family was there for a long time.
So I guess he was
So I
fine
guess
with
they
it.
were probably
And so, and this is a new
established.
watcher
Yeah.
now in the essence that his dad and his grandfather aren't there. So maybe this is his way of, getting there.
Mhm.
Yeah, quick question though. Did the watchers, like the previous watchers, did they ever specify like which house they were watching? Was it that?
Only that house. Only
Oh,
657 Boulevard.
Maybe the previous watchers had a different way to let the family know.
I
That
mean,
I don't
was
think there
living
was
there.
ever a
Okay,
watcher
but
in my
but
opinion.
was
I
it
think
Yeah, that's
was
what
it
I'm
ever
thinking.
confirmed that the watcher is a real thing? Like not the person, but like
So all the neighbors were suspects. They were all deemed suspect. He had a neighbor that would check into his direct neighbor would check into people's houses from time to time, and he had an elderly grandmother, elderly mother in like the house too.
we're
like,
talking
they-
about the guy who was playing those video games, right?
No, that he lived like probably like a couple houses down the
Okay.
road. This is like his like direct neighbor.
Mhm.
It was him and his mother and his sister that lived in the house next door, and this guy would periodically check into people's homes and stuff. But all the people like he had all alibis saying that he would never do something like this. That's not the type of person he is. Like they were sus, but they were like not the harmful type.
They were cleared.
Yeah, and so no one sussed them. There just wasn't enough evidence in this case where I felt like they definitely should have like pursued the gaming like the gamer
Yeah.
guy because.
He
I
got
mean,
lost.
he has a character named the Watcher. I mean,
I
he
mean,
plays these
didn't
violent
it
video
say
games.
that
It lines up.
he
but
didn't
that's
show
still-
up to the interrogation
Exactly,
either?
he didn't show up either.
And he
And
disappeared
apparently,
after, right?
That's the
He
weird
disappeared
thing.
after?
not that he disappeared.
I
like,
guess the police
weren't
just
able
didn't
to pursue
follow
him.
up.
Yeah, they're not allowed to because there was not enough evidence for them to.
Yeah, that
pursue
makes
him.
sense.
But
too.
But
Yeah.
if they try to interview him and if he doesn't show up, isn't that kind of
It's because he went from his own will. He wasn't
Okay,
required.
show up.
No, but it's
You can't
because there wasn't enough evidence to actually like physically have a warrant
Because
and bring him down.
so the way they came to that guy is because his girlfriend. I believe so there was a car parked outside the house at 11 p.m. I don't know who was in the car, but the plate was registered to his girlfriend. His girlfriend, so he lives on that block, so that's how the police made that connection. And then an officer had a conversation with either the girlfriend or the boyfriend,
And
the
somehow
boyfriend, the
the
officer
Watcher came in.
remembers the boyfriend saying that he plays a character like the Watcher in a video game. I think that's why it didn't go like so well. Like for them to like pursue him again is because it's going off the officer's memory. He never 100% stated that he said that I play a watcher in a video game. And it's just not enough solid evidence for them to pursue anybody else. But I feel like them just leaving the case as it is. I don't know why.
Just a hot take. The girlfriend could be also.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
she could
thinking.
be the one that's putting
Yeah.
that in, but I don't know why they didn't, pursue that harder.
But they can't, because there isn't enough like physical evidence there. I think for them to like actually bring somebody in on it. Because if they bring somebody in on it, then it's like kind of playing with them.
I think that you could have watched them, like, or followed them. Not like cops could do that. I know they don't have warrants, but
they had like a police, a private investigator, and an FBI agent, and those are people who are there to surveil people, like to watch after people. So I think those people should have gone after them because the police legally couldn't, and they would get in trouble. But those people had no problem watching them. So I think that's something that should have been done. We don't know if that's something that was done, but
I feel like the people who own that house didn't probably tell them that there was a suspect in there, but like that's why the FBI and the people couldn't keep track of it.
I don't think there's ever been a prior watcher. I think this guy just started doing whatever this is. This guy or girl.
I mean, okay, so what I actually think is that the family, they made it up themselves
that's
somehow.
exactly what I'm thinking
But
too.
so the family, they had a therapist, and they diagnosed Maria with PTSD and the husband with depression. So they were diagnosed with the mental stress of it. And the husband, on every interview he's been in for this, he referred to it as a cancer. They always think about it. Not saying like this is like their cancer.
What do you mean? What
Like
was the cancer?
this, like the mental trauma that they had put on them, almost like it was a cancer to them. Like it wouldn't go away. And like that, like they suffered a lot of mental stress, and it was visible on them as well.
Yeah, so if that happened, why didn't they just immediately move out?
They need to sell the house.
Yeah,
they did move out. They didn't live in the
You
house.
gotta find a buyer and everything.
No, but they didn't, for sure.
also I think
After this started happening, they didn't live in the house. They moved.
So Maria, the
took a long
wife,
time,
she grew up in this neighborhood, and so they all lived with their parents like during this whole thing because he brought up the children. Like if you bring up your stuff, okay, maybe someone's playing with you. You bring up like your kids and like they're spying into your backyard. That's a different story.
now that you said that they have issues like that, and now I'm thinking that they didn't even do it on purpose. It could have been just them thinking about it. And then
Yo, I think,
believing
listen, they just had depression. Like, the dad had depression, and what did the girl have? PTSD. I
And
think that's a little
paranoia.
extreme to say that they were just imagining it.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, I think now that knowing that they had these mental conditions,
No, they got this like not prior. It was
yeah. It was diagnosed after. But what I actually think is that the family did it unknowingly. Like it was like their medical condition that forced them into something like this.
That's
Like PTSD, right? Let's say a soldier has PTSD and they hear a noise that reminds them of like the battlefield or something. They're gonna go into that mode. I think maybe something like that played a trigger in the house that
Okay,
could have.
look. The father had depression, the daughter had PTSD. What about
The
the other
wife.
three
No,
people?
the wife.
Sorry, the wife.
They
were
didn't
kids.
bring the kids up into anything else. They wanted to keep
Oh,
them
so the
private.
husband and the wife were the two that were
They were
diagnosed.
done. Yeah. They tried to keep the kids out of it as much as possible.
Understandable.
But there was one thing why I feel like they dismissed the family entirely as suspects. There was one note that, like a similar type of note, that was like sent to another house like down the block. But that family did the same thing the first family did. They dismissed it, threw it away, up until the point where they were questioned about when all the neighbors were being questioned.
But they could have also sent that note.
Yeah,
So
just
so
to-
that's
just
what they
to
were
take
saying.
the-
Why would they want to do that? It's kind of like, okay, you send it to yourself, but why pick another person to send
So-
it?
I mean, I think it's a good reason to pick
Yeah.
another person to take the blame off you,
Yeah,
because like
exactly. To
at
make
the
it
end of
look
the
like
day, it would be like, oh, if I sent it to myself, then I should be the only one getting it. But if then the blame would be on you, right?
Yeah.
But if somebody else got, like, let's say like you got the letter, and I got the letter, but I'm the one that created all of them, then it's gonna seem like we are not suspects,
Yeah.
and he's the one that sent it to all of
Yeah.
them.
Because in my mind, I feel like this entire thing was set up by the community or the neighboring
that,
area
I mean,
to make sure that no one like lives in that
you
house.
should do an interview with these people.
But again,
Yeah.
you said there's a new owner, right?
There's a new owner, but nothing has been released on this guy. Like there's nothing happening.
Yeah, see, he's
He
just
might
he's
be
just
getting the
living
letters,
like a
but he's
normal
not
person.
putting it out because we don't know.
Well, and when is the last time that one of these letters were like
18.
I guess
So
however
ever since
long they were.
that family moved out, nothing's been going on.
Nothing else has been said about that. So either he's been sending them privately, or he's been doing some other stuff,
Yeah, that could
Or
be
he's not there.
or
Yeah.
not doing it at all.
That's
That's
what I'm
an
saying.
interesting thing to look into, like what that family's up to now.
Yeah, nah.
And like they haven't like they didn't. film a
I
movie
think
or
we might
anything.
have
Go to the
to
house.
drive out to this place in the
Yeah.
future.
Might have to.
Definitely.
We'll think about it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So like that's the take on the Westfield Watcher. We might take a trip over to 657 Boulevard and film this outside there
Westfield,
next
yeah.
time.
Might have to.
Might have to. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Definitely
Alright.
during the day. If we go during the night,
It might be a
I,
little
I
scary.
think somebody's gonna pull
We'll
up
find
on
the
us.
Watchers then. Let's
Yo,
go find the Watchers.
let's do it.
We might find the watcher. We'll let you guys know.
Well, yeah, guys. We hope you enjoyed this
Yeah.
kind of segment.
features.
Yeah, we got the features here. They won't be in every video, but we'll try to bring them back. Let us know how you guys like this video. We're gonna do a lot more like horror, like suspenseful stories.
What about Deviltry? Hey.
We'll make it out
Oh,
there.
Hey,
don't
that's
give
not-
future content away. Don't give future content away.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll try to switch it up for you guys. We'll make it lively.
Yeah.
We hope you like the new setting too. Try and
Yes,
change
sir.
it up.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, thank you guys for watching. The Google form is in the link. Like, subscribe, check out the socials. They're in the link. They're in the description.
Make
as
sure to
well.
follow.
Click the bell.
If you made it this far, comment below. Watcher.
Watcher.
Alright, bye.
All right.
Till
Till
then.
next time, we are the Wavecast.
Yes,
Peace
sir.
out.
Woo!